Welcome to the 6 month project recap. It's gonna happen. This is week 2. I'm still getting the hang of like, what the heck am I doing? And that's part of this whole process is what am I doing? I know what the goals are, but I am figuring out how do I get there, right? So this is what I did this 6 month project web page. So I'm gonna like go to my page 2 now because that's what I worked on all day today. And I'll tell you, there's a lot going on in my mind. But basically, what really showed up for me this week is that for the millionth time in my life, I need to learn patience. Seriously, that's like the biggest lesson because patience has been like the ongoing annoyance in my life. Like learning that you know, I tend to be a very naturally enthusiastic person and when I go in, I go all in, right? Just like this project. And I go all in and then I'm like I want it magically to all happen right now. Like I know that it takes work, obviously, but I also am impatient. And the takeaway from this week, like the big giant lesson is this is not going to be, there's a reason you called it the 6 month project. But if you did wind up going to the website to check out where I'm tracking all of this, and I will remember to put links in all of the chats for it so that I don't talk about it and then you guys are going, what is she talking about? But what I did was I created this counter, like a countdown counter. And I have 168 days, 11 hours, 4 minutes, and right now 7 seconds left before the 6 months end. And that's daunting. So number one takeaway was patience. Um, I've been doing the live streams. I moved my weekly concert to Tuesdays at 4 p.m. ET because it's summer and because I needed Monday, like today, to regroup and strategize and recap the previous week so I could share it with you and then be able to do the concert fresh on Tuesday. So Tuesday, it's now a Tuesday weekly concert. Coffee and a Song is still Thursday mornings. Usually happens around 10 a.m. ish. If you're following me, you should get a notification. Hey, she's live right now. If you're not following me, please do. Um, so live streams, blah, blah, blah. I did vocals for the song that I did pianos for week 1, the song Just Be, which if you've come to my live stream concerts, you know my song Just Be, you know. Maybe just take a beat, feel the ground touch your feet. This could be the moment we just be. See, that's how I self soothe. The singing just instantly reminds me, like, why am I doing all of this? So I can make more music and share it with you. Um, I had my second coaching call, which really was the first coaching call because week 1, I did sort of like a consultation just to discuss what it was I was trying to accomplish. And then Mike McDermott from the Craft House did sort of an intake with me during that first week. And so this past week, which was week 2, we really got granular and we did the nitty gritty of things. I, my husband just said you've been working like an animal, and he's so proud of me. Yeah, I have been. I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah. So I did my second coaching call, and we really got nitty gritty. We really got granular, and we really started to parse out like what are you going to focus on this week into next week, which is this week starts week 3 today. Um, and it was a lot because he talked about some ideas for me, and being the person who I always have to research, and also because he's in the UK, I always have to research. He made some really good suggestions. Right now, one of the goals was to get a sync placement. And, aside from all the organizing I'm doing, which I'm going to get into next, he talked about a platform called That Pitch. It's basically like a blanket software website where you put all your songs in, and their people, or maybe their bot, I don't know, analyzes what you've got in your catalog and then throws out like a million seeds to a bunch of different libraries. And it's not like I anticipate getting huge placements from that, but if I start getting any, it's a place of validation, and it's a starting point. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I got some placements. So it costs money. There's like you can do it for free, but they're really not going to get you out to many places. I think they put you in their library. But if you pay, and it's not cheap. It's an investment. They put you out to several hundred libraries and see who's a taker. And my feeling is, let's make an investment. Let's give it a few months. And if none of the libraries pick up on my stuff, it's time to move on, right? Maybe figure out a different way to do it. But I think that it's a good starting point. And who knows, maybe I'll get some micro placements. Maybe I'll get a big one. I'm not going to limit the energy that I'm like manifesting. La la la. I'm going to put it out there. So yeah, I think I have, I'm not think, I decided to plant some seeds with this platform that he introduced me to. The other platform he introduced me to, there's going to be some problems because they are based in the UK. So if they get anything happening for me, it's like I get like double banged on taxes because they impose a 20% tax for the UK, and then the income that I earn here because I'm a US citizen and not a billionaire because they don't get taxed for whatever reason. Haha. Um, I'll get taxed again. So I think that I'm going to pivot with him this week and talk about that. So anyway, disco, disco, disco. What is disco? I talked about it last week. If you missed last week's recap, disco is an online portal that I use to catalog all my music. So he had given me this assignment to sort of start culling my disco. And last week, week 2, he said, look, this is what we're looking for. We need to know what you've got. What's finished? What's not finished? What is strong and has potential, right? So I think I mentioned last week, like there's 100, or no, maybe I didn't. I mentioned that I figured out I had 158 unfinished songs. But I also realized I had missed some, and I think I've got 163 unfinished songs and counting. But then the bright spot was figuring out what is finished, what's recorded, mixed, mastered, fully produced, and we came up with 142 songs. Now, the caveat is a lot of those songs are album tracks. Hey, David. Good to see you here. They're album tracks. What does that mean? It means that they're songs that I released with my vocals, which is fine, but they are not, they're authentically me. They weren't written and recorded and produced to sound like something that belongs in a TV show. I did it authentically. And that does not mean that there isn't a place for them. But if you watch television or movies, you probably realize like a lot of the stuff is like hip hop or pop music. And I have a small amount that might fit into those genres. We'll see. I'm gonna make that investment in that pitch and we'll cross our fingers and see if somebody says, "Hey, this is exactly what we're looking for this scene." You never know, right? You don't know if you don't find take chances. So, anyway, it's the next thing I want to do is really focus in on what my strongest songs are that are fully produced and recorded in my disco. And that's the part that I've really been struggling with because I don't know. How do you judge? Well, it has drums, so that makes it more contemporary. It's really difficult. So, what I did was I created this one monster playlist that has all of my recorded, mixed, and mastered songs in it. And then I fed it into AI. Don't judge. But I did. I fed it into AI just to see if it came up with any winners, right? And it did come up with 10 songs and it told me why. And of course, I disagreed with all of it. But I also know that I know nothing. So in this moment, here is what I decided. I'm going to make a sub plus up. I'm going to make a new playlist of those songs and I'm going to keep handy the notes that the AI gave me. And in my coaching call this Wednesday, I'm going to play the songs for Mike and get his read on it because he's a human and he's had not only placements in television and movies like Sync, but he's placed songs with artists that have been top 10 Billboard hits. So I'm going to do what the AI said and then see if he agrees or disagrees. And then at least I have a starting point. So, okay, I just did that for myself right here in live time as I figured out what the pivot is going to be. Last week, I did my second Friday vibe, and it was my most attended, viewed post of the entire week. I think it's over, I mean, it's not life changing, it's not mind boggling, but it had over 500 views last time I checked. And for me, that's a win. I'm going to take all the wins. I'm not going to judge it based on, oh, well, they got 30,000 views. This person got 2 million views. I am here. And I can only assess where I'm at based on where I'm at. So based on where I'm at, 500 views is a good post. So the Friday vibe is working. What is interesting to me, I'm not going to judge again, is that it took almost like all morning into the afternoon to create the Friday vibe post. And I think that the more that I do it, the better I'll get at it and it'll become more natural for me. I think it's these early days. And again, this goes back to learning patience. These early days of relearning, or well, no, not relearning, but learning how to create the things that I need to do for this project and getting better at them and quicker, not faster in that I'm like, skipping things and making it shoddy or anything, but learning how to get this stuff done in a better, faster, more efficient way so that, once again, I'm creating more music because that is ultimately the point. Okay, so also, blah, 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 you can read this stuff on the website. I will put some links before I leave, or maybe I'll do it after I leave. Yeah, okay. So here's the things that I noticed this week. So last week, week 2 was last week. This is week 3. I went to the gym every single morning. I was at the gym before 7 a.m. each morning last week. And it was really hard the first few days because I'm just not used to. It's not the physical aspect that was challenging for me. It was the being around other humans that early in the morning, other humans aside from my husband, who I'm around most mornings. That was the most difficult adjustment for me because my mornings have been historically very quiet. It's how I sort of gear up. If you're following me, if you're on my newsletter, if you're on my Patreon, I've talked about like this like weird type of agoraphobia that I developed after COVID, that sort of exhibits its way in weird ways. Like I can get to the gym, but I have to be in a certain mindset, and I'm not one of those people who goes to the gym to show off my guns and not those kind of guns, muscles. And I don't go to socialize. Like I don't mean to be mean, but I'm not there to make friends. I am there for one mission: to exercise, keep my body healthy, and get back home. And so going so early in the morning when there were so many people was really disruptive to my morning ritual of preparing myself to see other people. And it took a few days. I'm still getting used to it. I know I'm being tested. I think the universe is throwing me some curveballs just to test me, and that's okay. The other thing that I noticed is that I did work so intensely, as my husband so kindly affirmed for me a little bit ago during this live stream. I've been working my butt off. And with that came a certain amount of isolation because, usually in my morning routines, I chat with my husband and I have my tea in the beginning and he has his coffee. And, then later in the day, when I do go to the gym, I walk to the gym and walk back. I usually talk to my sister who lives far away, and that's our check in. And we did our check ins far less because she's 2 hours behind me. So I'm not calling her at 6 o'clock in the morning because it would be 4 o'clock in the morning for her, right? So that was a little interesting. So I've sort of made some decisions about how I want this week to look based on that. The good thing that I did for myself, I mean, everything was good, but the really nurturing thing that I did that I have always struggled with is I took the weekend off mostly. I did rehearse, I did make some music, I did tweak my set list, but for the most part, I stayed off of social media and I socialized and saw our besties and went for a beach walk with some other close friends, had tech hell on Sunday, which was totally outside of the studio. It was a different type of tech hell. And then went for a beach walk with my husband to reset and then had a really nice dinner with him last night. So the idea of balance, even though we had tech hell yesterday, I know and I can tell that today I feel a lot more grounded and centered in my energy sources. Okay. So when I look at where did the week go, like the percentages, so like if I compare last week, I think 42% last week was spent on administrative stuff, like getting things set up and ready and migrating things and blah, blah, blah. This week, the big winner was 38% of my working hours were spent creating music. And that's damn fine. I'm really, really happy about that. Um, live streaming content was 25%, catalog research was 20%, and admin and other was down 17%, down to 70%. And that feels good. So, I've got some intentions of what I'm going to focus on this week, week 3. If you're interested in following along, I'm not going to keep this so long. I'm going to kind of sign off now. I will put, let's see, how can I do this? I'm thinking because some of the things don't allow me to put a comment after it. I'll figure it out. I'm going to put a comment after I sign off so you don't have to hear me fiddling around of how you can follow this 6-month project. I've created a space on my website. I'll tell you, it's marcigeller.com/6, spelled out SIX, month project, all one word. And if you scroll down, you'll see week 2. You click that, it'll take you to this last week's recap. Okay, so yeah, I'm really feeling like I'm in the moment and things are going well. And looky, my sister's calling, but I'm going to just sign off with you guys and call her back. If you want to check it out, I'll put a comment with the direct links so you can follow along. Maybe I'll make an auto reply thing also so you can DM me, but that's another day because I have stuff I want to get done today, musically and otherwise. All right, my friends. So this is the recap of week 2. Today, June 15th, 2026, I embark on week 3, and I've already done a whole lot of stuff today that you'll find out about at a later date. Thank you for being here with me. Follow along, share, invite people, tag people. I don't know. Join the Patreon because I did do a lot of little extra thingies over there if you want. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Bye. Oh, wait, I have to go to my program to sign off. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to stop the live stream. Ready? Bye, guys. I love you all. Let's see if it says goodbye. I want to see myself say goodbye.